What is the biggest threat to aviation? Isn't it safety, technology, or demand, or is it fuel? In 2026, rising fuel prices are quietly reshaping the entire aviation industry, from ticket costs to aircraft design to the future of flight itself. As jet fuel prices soar past $197 a barrel in 2026, the impact lands directly in travelers' wallets. Airlines are no longer absorbing these costs quietly. They are passing them on through a mix of explicit fuel surcharges and less visible fare hikes. In Asia Pacific, a single long-haul flight can now carry a $164 fuel surcharge spelled out on the ticket. In the US and Europe, surcharges often blend into the base fare, but the effect is the same: higher prices for every passenger on every route. Legacy. Carriers like Qantas and United typically pass through 55 to 72% of fuel cost increases on long-haul flights, while low-cost carriers such as Ryanair and Spirit pass through less, about 35 to 55%, relying more on ancillary fees and operational efficiencies to shield price-sensitive travelers. When Qantas faced an 18% jump in fuel prices in March, it raised base fares by 5% and added a new surcharge within days. Econometric analysis shows that for every 10% rise in fuel costs, fares climb by 5 to 6% on full-service airlines and by 3 to 4% on low-cost carriers. Demand does not collapse, but it does soften. A fare increase of this size can reduce bookings by 3 to 4%, especially on short-haul leisure routes. For passengers, fuel is no longer a hidden line in an airline's budget. It is a force that shapes the price of every ticket. Freight shippers are feeling the pressure just as sharply as passengers. The Transported Air Cargo Index shows freight rates climbing nearly 60% since 2020, with average prices rising from about 55 cents to 88 cents per revenue ton kilometer by the end of 2025. This is not just a temporary spike. Airlines are rethinking how they use their aircraft holds. Data from IATA Cargo points to a 10% drop in belly hold capacity, the space beneath passenger cabins, over 3 years. At the same time, dedicated freighter capacity has grown by 8%, as carriers convert more routes to cargo only or lease extra freighters to meet demand. Operators like Lufthansa and Air China report that shifting belly space to freight has brought in hundreds of millions in added revenue, helping offset the sting of high fuel bills. According to Seabury Cargo Advisory, this realignment is likely permanent, with fuel costs now shaping the economics of AIR cargo as much as passenger travel. Airlines do not face the same fuel risk. The difference often comes down to how much of their fuel supply is locked in at fixed prices, the hedge ratio. In 2026, the gap is stark. Some European low-cost carriers have shielded as much as 84% of their fuel needs through hedging contracts, while many North American legacy airlines are exposed on 70% or more of their consumption, with hedge coverage dipping to 30% or less. That means every dollar increase in jet fuel hits their bottom line almost immediately. The numbers tell the story. One British carrier reported $380 million in avoided fuel costs thanks to deep hedging, while Delta, with just 28% of its fuel hedged, saw its bill rise by over $1 billion. For those with high coverage, the financial blow of $197 per barrel for jet fuel is softened, buying time to adjust fares or trim routes. For the rest, cash outflows spike, and every uptick in spot prices threatens liquidity. The hedge ratio is not just a technical metric, it is the invisible shield that separates the airlines scrambling to survive from those able to plan their next move. Operations managers now face a daily numbers game, squeezing out every possible drop of savings from each flight. Single-engine taxi procedures, adopted by more than 1/5 of major fleets, yield a 0.5% cut in fuel use per departure. Airlines are stripping weight wherever possible, with lighter cabin seats, smaller galleys, and reduced water loads, delivering a 1.2% fuel saving on average. Advanced analytics platforms, like Airbus's Skywise and Delta's in-house optimizer, are now standard in dispatch centers. These tools trim block fuel loads by up to 3%, using real-time weather and traffic data to fine-tune every flight plan. The savings add up. On a single transatlantic rotation, that can mean hundreds of gallons not burned, but micro savings alone are not enough. Network planners have started to cut capacity outright, pulling 5% of scheduled flights from marginal routes. American, Ryanair, and several European carriers have trimmed frequencies to preserve cash, focusing their remaining resources on the highest yield corridors. Each cut frees up fuel for the routes that matter most, but it also means fewer options for passengers and thinner service to secondary cities. These tactics, taxi procedures, weight reduction, block fuel trimming, and capacity cuts, represent the last easy wins. Airlines are exhausting every operational lever before turning to deeper, more structural changes. Aircraft manufacturers are now working through record backlogs. In 2025 and 2026 alone, airlines placed more than 1,200 orders for the Airbus A320neo family and over 900 for Boeing's 737 MAX 10. The reason is clear. These new models cut fuel burn by 15 to 18% compared to the jets they replace. Older, less efficient aircraft are being retired at an accelerated pace, locking in a future fleet mix that is designed around high fuel costs rather than passenger demand. As one original equipment manufacturer strategist said, "Every order today is a bet on fuel staying expensive. Efficiency isn't optional, it's survival." The hardware pivot is underway, and it's reshaping what airlines will fly for the next 2 decades. Sustainable aviation fuel is being blended into more flights than ever, with global output reaching 1.5 billion gallons in 2026. Yet, as a major SAF producer notes, this covers less than 2% of total jet fuel demand, and at a cost premium that still runs twice that of fossil Jet A. Battery electric aircraft, once seen as a near-term solution, are limited to routes under 400 kilometers and remain years from widespread use. Hydrogen-powered flight faces even longer odds, because airport infrastructure and supply chains aren't expected to reach commercial readiness until the mid-2030s, according to ICCT analysts. Policy is the wild card. Without coordinated carbon pricing and targeted subsidies, SAF volumes can't scale, and next-generation technologies remain stuck in pilot programs. As one think tank analyst puts it, we are at a crossroads. Fuel policy will decide who can afford to fly and which routes survive. Right now, fuel costs drive every decision in aviation. As prices keep rising, the industry's future hangs on a force most travelers never see. Sometimes the quietest pressures cause the biggest changes.